right, people, we are getting started. If you're with us, make sure you stay tuned. Make sure that you comment in the comment section. Let us know you're tuning in. Let us know where you're tuning in from. And let us know if you want us to go ahead and trash talk one of the teams that you hate. Not guaranteeing that we hate them, but just going to say for good measure, we'll go ahead and talk a little trash.
I love it.
All right. All right. I'll go from here. All right. All right. Yep. We are staying for a few more, and then we're going to get it started. Let me make sure that I have the right one. All right, people, and we'll be right back.
I don't wanna hear any more small talk. Off that short pier, take a long walk. My style ain't free cause it ain't off top. I'm at your throat, go get a cough drop. I don't wanna hear any more small talk. Off that short pier, take a long walk. My style ain't free cause it ain't off top. I'm at your throat, go get a cough drop. It's kush. I love me too much and your brain turn to mush. Fall flat on your tush. You couldn't handle the product I push. I guess I'm just used to it, I just do it. Like Nike swoosh, none of that Reggie Bush cause I'm top shelf. I ain't got...
What's that? Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game.
All right, people, and welcome back. We are officially back, and you know what? This is a great time because this is the show after we have officially had a game. So this actually makes things a lot more interesting. No more of the filler episodes. No more trying to figure out. Okay, what we're gonna talk about in between. No, we're talking about games now. Okay, we're just like we're not talking about practice. We don't talk about practice. Talk about a real game here. Okay, all right. And before we go any further into that, I want to go ahead and make sure that I introduce my esteemed colleagues, the guys who make this possible. All right. We're gonna start off with only because you know what, this week is a great week. All right. We're gonna start off with the good brother, the silent assassin that will have many words to say this coming Saturday.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, Mr. Austin Cook, everybody.
Yeah, what's up? I'm Austin.
Got a big week.
Yes, very big week. Very, very big week for you, player. And you know, we're excited. Okay. And then
Yeah.
also with us, we will go ahead and um we will be highlighting some things. And I know that he will be coming with the petty because a certain division rival didn't manage to tie or win. They lost. All right. So
It is.
that being said, Mr. Petty himself, Josh Senior, everybody.
Mr. Petty has arrived, and I'm here to bring the pettiness to you all after we get the news.
Yeah, after. And my name is Chris Jackson. That's neither here nor there, okay? Let's just get to the good stuff. Okay. Well,
Yes.
before we do, big shout out AFC South Fan Battle. Make sure that you tune in on Mondays. Watch them 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Make sure you tune in to the Texans Fan Battle, which will be live tomorrow night, 9 o'clock. Once again, 9 o'clock Eastern Time. Um, they're also coming up with a Jags podcast. I'm not sure exactly when that's going to be, so stay tuned. This is all part of the Fan Battle Sports Network. Make sure that you subscribe Twitter, on Facebook. I would say that they're going to start a Titans podcast, but honestly, you can't get them to get on the AFC South Fan Battle podcast. So I don't know who's going to necessarily be doing, like the Titans podcast. But I mean, apparently it's going to be like AI operated because that's the only way you'll be able to get anybody to speak on that. So
But
yeah,
but the ones that they're trying to get to make it are incompetent anyway. But we're not going to talk about that.
oh Jesus, I wasn't gonna say that. That's, I mean, I was being petty. That was just rude. That was.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, my lantern.
I said I was going to see you got it out of me too early. I was going to wait until later on, but it came out too early.
You wanted to let that one out because that is absurd. All right, let's just get that out the way now. All right. But in the meantime, man, how's everybody doing? How's everybody feeling after the craziness of this past weekend?
I'm doing all right.
I feel like a tie.
Feel like a tie?
Yeah.
Feel like a tie. You know what? At this point, I mean, you pretty much have to. It's like you don't want to be okay with it, but at the same time, you're just kind of like, I guess, like it's a
Get ready. Our most popular battery is even.
Sorry about that. I was actually pulling something up, but it had other plans. But yeah, it's a tie. And then Matt Briggs says, "Let's go Texans." Okay, we're gonna take that off the screen really quickly. Yeah, so we're gonna do that. But you know what? Before we get into the game, before we get into everything else, let's go ahead and just talk about some recent organizational news without going too much into what happened during the game. For those who didn't see it for some reason, I don't know why. Rodrigo Blankenship has been waived, and I mean, how are we feeling? Are we feeling like it's just like need a little bit more time? Are we feeling like yeah, it was overdue? Like, how are we feeling about it? Well, let's just say we'll start with Josh.
I mean, I'm not too bummed about it. It was much needed. We had like last year. We had these conversations with him being inconsistent throughout the year, even in the Ravens game, other games that were he cost us a game with extra points or a field goal. And then this year, they started to for whatever reason, I don't know why, but they had them on kickoffs. They kicked out two of them out of bounds and gave Texans a short field.
Yeah,
which the defense held up on both of them. But nevertheless, that's bad. That's bad. If you can't kick a kickoff, and then we shouldn't expect him to kick a 44-yarder or 42-yarder. I'm sorry, 42-yarder to win a game. So, and we know that how Irsay is a no-nonsense guy. He just dealt with Carson Wentz last year and gave the GM and the head coach come to Jesus talk. So, starting out week one with these type of woes, it's time to get rid of that right now.
Yeah. Now, and Austin, I'm gonna, kind of like as a second part to it, given how the game went, and like I said, without going into too much, given how the game went, do you feel like maybe it's like he was a scapegoat? Do you feel like it's just like things possibly could have been different had he played a little bit better or had he been more efficient?
No, we had two kickers. I'm sorry, it was for me. It was for Austin. Okay.
No, you're good. I don't think he's the scapegoat. I don't think anybody's placing all the blame on him.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, he could have played better. There's a lot of people that could have played better. But it was just he's just too inconsistent.
Yeah.
I don't know about everybody else, but for me, I've never been confident with him going out there to kick any field goal.
Yeah.
So like I like the guy like as a person, but I'm A-okay with this move.
Yeah. And it was tough because it's just like I think when it came down to Blankenship, you know how sometimes it's just like we get caught up with the personality politics. Like we get caught up with like the fact that it's just like, okay, this guy's extremely likable. Like
Right.
this guy is, what he is. This guy, he's done all this and he's been this. But the thing is, it's just like when it comes down to it, it's just like I think sometimes we forget that yeah, you can have that persona off the field, but on the field, you gotta deliver. I think that's the one thing that we got caught up with because we're just like, oh no, goggles. It's just like, it's just like give him a little bit more time. It's just like he's had time. He's had 3 years as the sole guy. The only reason why we brought in somebody last year was because he was hurt.
Yeah, but the other year too, 2019, when we had Chase,
Yeah,
and so he beat out Chase, even though Chase, I think, or was Chase to replace Adam? I can't remember. Was it Chase
Chase
to
was
replace Adam?
Adam. Yeah,
Okay, never mind then. But yeah, he beat out the guys that we had. I mean, then we had he was in competition with Chase too, though, in the off season. In that off season that we ended up getting Rigo, he was in competition with Chase, and we was going, okay, is it Chase or Rod? So he beat out Rod. I mean, he beat out Chase to start the season, which was surprising. Then, like you said, with Bagley actually played well throughout the whole year. I mean, I think he missed maybe 2 kicks throughout the whole year,
yeah.
and they still kept him. They still kept Rod. So I don't know what was the issue with them keeping him, even though he wasn't consistent. That's what's puzzling. They didn't get any. This year was probably the only time that we didn't have any kicking competition. We did. It was minimum. It wasn't like heavy because he didn't take that to consideration that his job was up for his job was in jeopardy.
Well, I mean, but I think that's tough because he hasn't necessarily always been the most consistent. And it's not like it's just like, he had a bad end of the year last year. He had like a bad couple games and then he started off this game, missing.
Right.
He hasn't really been consistent since he really had that opportunity to start and do, or since he had that job locked in. I mean, last year I think he ended up getting hurt and he was out for a while.
The Ravens game.
Yeah, and then I think he ended up coming back later on. I think
Bagley finished the season.
Okay, so yeah, but the thing is, it's just like at this rate, you're keeping a guy on that has had issues with consistency in a game where and it wasn't solely his fault, but the parts where he could have delivered, he didn't.
When there was a stat where he was pretty much money within the 40-yard range, like he was pretty much like we know his leg was he don't have the biggest leg. He couldn't kick 50-yarders, but he was within range and still kicked it right left.
Yeah, he I think it was just like he was supposed to be like automatic, like within that 40. And I mean, he actually had kicks of like 45 and I think 52. I could be wrong about that, but I think he missed a chip at 41. So, and I mean, it's not necessarily a chip shot, but the thing is, it's within your range since you've hit a 45. So, but not going too far into it because we have a lot of other things to discuss, like the actual game itself. So, getting started, Josh, can you kind of break down? I'm going to say break down the first half of the game for us.
Man, the first half, we couldn't really. I mean, we only had 3 points. We couldn't really get anything going throughout the game. I mean, we had some nice plays. They got positive yardage. We saw that. I wouldn't say we saw a couple. We saw that our quarterback was like he was nervous. Like he was a rookie quarterback. He was so nervous in the pocket. He was making throws that he shouldn't have. He threw a pick. Was it second half or first half? He threw that pick.
I think it was the first half.
He threw that pick to Jerry Hughes, where I mean I guess you credit the defense because they read it all the way through. It just seemed like the offense was vanilla, like it was preseason offense at that time, where we couldn't really get much going. And when we did get into the red zone, Frank got in the way again. He did the go for it on fourth down with a terrible play with a Wildcat with Hines. When I saw Matt Ryan as a receiver, I was like, "Oh my God, this can't be right. This can't be right. This is not going to go well." I just knew in my mind the game was just pretty much done to me because I felt like if we doing these type of things against, I mean, I'm not saying the team's sorry, but we beat them 4 times in a row. But the odds are in their favor. I mean, they can't lose forever. We playing a game where we lost 8 season openers in a row, and you just out here just doing plays that cost you pretty much. I ain't gonna say cost you the game, but you lost the momentum. You could have kicked the field goal, got you another 3 points, made it 6-0. I think they went down and scored after that. They actually marched down the field. After that stop, they actually marched down the field and scored a touchdown, made it 7-3. And at that point, they had the momentum the whole game up until fourth quarter.
Yeah. And you know what? It's and that's going to be another question that I ask, but like we saw how it was. Like I'm going to say in that first half, I mean, was it Matt Ryan? Like, was it the O-line? Like, what really was it?
It was a combination of both. Offensive line was inconsistent, and Matt Ryan was inconsistent. You can say that he probably didn't get enough playing time in the preseason to get the chemistry down with his receivers and the tight ends because he did a lot of dinking and dunking for most of the part to get those positive yardage. I mean, you did see him have a couple plays with Pittman where it was his main target, and Michael Strawn, big props to him, made a couple plays in the game, and even Paris Campbell. But he looked rattled. He looked like he couldn't get settled in the offense. The offensive line was bad on run blocking. Run blocking. It was very terrible with that. And it just their defense affected him the whole game, especially the first half. They affected him. I think they got like 3 sacks.
Okay, yeah, and then moving on to the second half. So Austin, we saw like, of course, you know, it was 20-3. What I'm gonna say, it's just like, what was the change between the third and fourth quarter that kind of, I'm gonna say, woke the offense up?
Well, one play that happened was the EJ Speed strip sack.
Yes,
that really changed momentum, and that we scored. I think we scored a field goal off of that. But after that play, we started seeing the offense really move the ball like we haven't seen the whole game. We just decided to show up in the fourth quarter instead of playing all 4 quarters.
Okay. And I'm going to say is because there's a couple things that are kind of deceiving, right?
Yeah.
Because, of course, like, we went into overtime. Now, you go into overtime, and you literally go the entirety of overtime, and nobody scores. Offense is still moving, but nobody scores. Of course, the Blankenship miss in overtime is a killer. And, you know, really weren't able to just go and, like, execute. But by end of game, and mind you, we're not the only game that ended up going into overtime.
It's still his game.
Yeah, by the end of the game, you're number 1 in total offense, and not between Colts and Texans. Number 1 in the league in total offense.
Mm-hmm.
Jonathan Taylor's number 2 in rushing yards, 161 yards. The only person who had more rushing yards was him, and Saquon, and he only had 3 more rushing yards. Michael Pittman Jr. was 7th in receiving with 9 receptions for 121 yards.
Yes.
What, like, to be able to have those numbers where you're basically top 10 in every offensive category you possibly can be, and mind you, this is all on Matt Ryan throwing 64% completion.
Mm-hmm.
what makes it so that you only score 20 points and your offense is pretty much firing on all cylinders? And I'll open this floor, I'll open this question up to anybody, like because it's astounding. It's kind of like you drive the fastest time in the world ever, and yet you still don't break the record. It's like how does that end up? How does that end up becoming a thing?
You could chalk it up to play calling. You could say there's some drop passes, even in the end zone, some drop passes.
Yeah.
We just couldn't finish. Our defense held them several times. There was a few miscues, the 2 touchdowns, but we just couldn't finish on offense. And whether you want to blame Frank or whether you want to blame the players, whoever you wanted to blame, like we just couldn't finish.
Yeah.
I mean, we went on a 17 announcer run. So our defense did. I mean, our defense did well to help them to the points that they did, and it allowed us to score those points when we did. Like you said, play calling was an issue. It was definitely an issue. And then the rookie, making rookie mistakes, dropping the pass in his zone. It was clearly in his hands. And we didn't see those issues in college a lot. But when you create separation in the end zone and the ball's on your hand, you got to come with it. You got to come down with it. And that's what he didn't do. And like he did it the second time, or was it knocked out of his hand by Stingley?
That one was knocked out of his hand.
Okay.
And the Doolin one was knocked out of his hand.
Yeah, Doolin. Yeah. So
whoever made that play, that was a great play. Like he punched it right at the right time.
So we're looking at 21 points right there. That would have,
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and before I say what I say, we have a couple comments. So Jaquays Whitmill says Texans defense going to be fun to watch, like I said. Okay. And then we have Rodrigo is Mike Vanderjack. He has good percentage numbers, but he has noodle leg to me. And when it comes to high pressure kicks, he misses too many of them. Which that's
not. I wouldn't say that. I mean, I wouldn't say that. That's not fair. That's not fair. I mean, I know Mike had his issues, but Mike was pretty good. I mean, I know towards the end of his tenure with us, it didn't end well. Before that, he was pretty good. It was pretty good. As pretty much that's unfair for Rigo to compare him to Mike. As Payman and say he's an idiot kicker, but that's towards his tenure with the.
He was. Yeah. If you don't like him, I don't like him. I don't care. It's whatever.
Yeah.
And then he said none of that shit matters. LOL. It's just like, I mean, but it does for context because I mean, we don't like when it comes down to teams being able to do this, to be able to have that much in terms of numbers, and all you can really put up is what 2 touchdowns and 2 field goals. There's obviously an issue somewhere. Is it execution? Is it play calling? Is it both? Like, I mean, that's what we're looking at. Then he said it took Matt Ryan 50 attempts and Taylor 31 attempts just to catch up. LMAO. Yeah, but also let's also put this into context. It took them that much to catch up, but also at the same time, that means that the Texans gave them that much of an opportunity.
They did. They gave us a lot of opportunities.
They couldn't stop Taylor. I don't know why we didn't run more throughout the game instead of saving it all for the fourth quarter.
Once again, yeah.
I mean, who are making this comment? Like we said, and at the times that he played against the Texans, you guys was not stopping him. If you're a Texan fan, if you were saying that it took all that to get to where we was at, what about the other times where he was marching on the field and march up and down you guys, where you only scored 3 points last year? So, yeah, I wouldn't want to make that comment. Like, it took him 31 times, but he still had 160, and it took him 4.9 carries, something like that. So yeah, it's still a lot. So either way.
Yeah, and then it says the team just never looks prepared week 1. So yeah, I think that's fair, and I think there's also a certain amount of. I think it's just like the approach is just always the same, no matter who the cast is in terms of who's different. The issue that we have is that once again, it's just like just going over it. We've had a new quarterback every year for the last 5 years.
Right.
But the thing is, it's just like this offense, even with the pieces that we have, like right now, it's just like now you have Taylor as an established runner. You have him being the guy that like is going to have to go and just have the results or have more of those carries. The O line isn't as good as it was previously, and yet it's just like we're still going to try to go and just like take these shots downfield. It's just like you pretty much have to make sure that this O line can hold up against anything. To me, the Texans don't have the best pass rush, and we're going to end up going against teams that are going to be able to get a lot of pressure a lot quicker than they were. So you can't just approach things the exact same way because it's not going to be the exact same thing. But
I mean, with the 50 attempts, I don't blame them because they have a young secondary. I mean, other than Steven Nelson, they have a young secondary, and the guy's 8. The guy's pretty much. I mean, Pittman had 121. That just should tell you right there. And Strong had some catches. They can stop him, and Paris Campbell had some catches. Hines was out. He was out in the backfield. We just started using tight ends with Granson and Mo Cox. But yeah, I mean, I would understand that part, and they opened up the run some more because at first they were stopping Taylor in the backfield.
Yeah. So then moving on, because like I said, we have more comments, but I want to get into this next topic. Matt Ryan's debut. How do we feel about Matt Ryan's debut officially as the Colts starting quarterback? And we'll start with you, Austin.
So, first 3 quarters, he had 4 fumbles. I mean, it's not normal for a veteran to come into it, even if it is a new team, to like fumble the ball like he did. On 3 of them were on snaps, and I think 1 of them was a sack. I don't know. But
yeah, it was.
Fourth quarter, watching him move the ball and be a leader in the fourth quarter was really encouraging to me, and it made me excited again. I'm excited for next week. I think that we'll come out better, but we'll see.
Josh, how about you?
I mean, it showed that he's the leader that we needed. I mean, he rallied us to a comeback. Yeah, we didn't win, but he rallied us to 17 unanswered points to tie the game and put us in position to win the game. What else can you ask more? I mean, the people, they say, well, it was coming from behind, but it should tell you that the defense didn't hold up. The defense knew that we needed 17 points, 18 to be ahead, and they didn't stop it. And he commanded the offense. He went in there and told his guys, get the shit together and let's go. Let's get it. And he come out with 352 yards. I don't remember last time. I guess Andrew Luck or maybe Rivers, the last time we had a quarterback to throw for 350. Yeah. I mean, the guy came out and made plays all over the field. So, I mean, I'm happy for the debut. I'm looking for many more games for him. I mean, not the same amount of yards, but just commanding the offense and being the captain that we need.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what? The turnovers definitely weren't, I'm going to say, they definitely weren't the best when it came down to it, but seeing the kind of drive that we had in the fourth quarter, where, you see that you have a veteran, and it's just like you have an absolute veteran who's done this, who's kind of been in this position where you have to come back. And, you have to kind of, put the team on your back and do a little bit more because, whatever it was, it wasn't working out. It's just like I said, it's just like, I'm going to say it attributed to play calling, but whatever was happening, it just wasn't happening the way that it should have. So that means that now, you have to have somebody who's going to be able to go in there and do what they need to do. We saw a lot of times last season where, it's just like a lot of those late game situations, you had Jonathan Taylor kind of putting the team on his back with the run. Carson Wentz, I get in Arizona, he had the pass to Desmond Patman, and, that was like the game saver on that one. But the thing is, I think it's like this wasn't something where it's just like, oh, yeah, we have to make a play. It basically became, all right, yep, we got to make sure that we chip away. So it's just like you chip away with getting a field goal. You chip away with getting a touchdown. You chip away with getting another touchdown. Like basically,
Right.
you're just making sure that you're just kind of like just doing that, and it's such a I'm gonna say it's such a like it's a method in order to kind of break down exactly how it is that it makes it so that you don't worry. Like for
Right.
me, like when he was kicking, when he was doing the stuff that or not kicking with, but when he was passing, when you saw that he got the crucial pass to Michael Pittman, it's just like that's staying in the pocket. And I mean, Braden Smith was not good. You know, Matt
Not far.
Pryor not good. Bernard Raymond actually like he got progressively better. But the thing is, it's like the O line didn't deliver the way that they normally do, and yet as the game went on, Matt Ryan got better. And that was just more of a testament to, I'm going to say, being consistent and being able to mentally kind of stay in it. Because now you know for a fact that you don't have to, make up 17 points in one drive. Now you just know that you have all the time in the world. You know that they're going to give you opportunities, and now you're going to be able to go do what you need to do. And I think that's what we're missing. And once again, it's just like this was that attributed to 352 yards of passing.
I mean, the last game that we saw the Colts play, we didn't get none of those. We couldn't come back. We didn't get any momentum going with the last quarterback. Like I said, this is a good sign that hey, yeah, we didn't win the game, we didn't lose the game, but it shows signs that the quarterback he commanded his offense. The turnovers that we did see in the first 3 quarters or whatnot didn't happen anymore.
Yep. Yep. And it didn't. And like I said, being able to clean that up. And I mean, we might see one more game, hopefully not this game coming up, where they kind of have to go and fire on all cylinders. But being able to be in a game situation and see that there's issues means that, this week in practice, you know exactly what to address. You know that you're not just going to sit there and put it together hypotheticals and say, oh, yeah, we need to do this in case they're doing this. It's just like now you
Right.
got to see in a real game situation what happened. In a real game situation, you got to see, like, Braden, get your shit. Like, they're going to have to basically make it so that it's like they correct a lot of these issues quick. I don't think that anything that we saw on Sunday is too big of an issue that it can't be corrected because, I mean, we saw that Rodrigo missed some he missed a crucial kick again.
Yeah.
And I mean, we see today he's gone, and then we brought in a kicker almost immediately after. So whatever's happening, it's just like they're in their ears. Like they know for a fact it's just like, yeah, listen, these issues gotta get dealt with quick. And I mean, people are calling for veteran receivers. Honestly, I'd be completely comfortable going and saying, hey, let's bring back TY at this point. I feel like he might be rested, completely healed. If not, it's just like sign a guy like OBJ. I mean, yeah, if you want to bring, but the thing is, I don't feel like it's absolutely necessary because you don't have Alec Pierce have the drops that he has, and Michael Pittman still be able to get over 120 yards receiving and a touchdown. Like, and then say, oh, yeah, we need another veteran receiver. It's just like, what more do you want? Like, you see what your guys are doing. Paris Campbell is healthy.
Mike Strong came in and did his thing.
Mike Strong came in. If you're going to do anything, implement those guys. You know what
more.
You know, you know what they can do. But on that note, like I said, because I know we've kind of touched on it, but I want to talk about this specifically. What went wrong on offense? And it doesn't have to be a player. It can be something that we saw in terms of scheme. Like, what really went wrong on offense? And I think I started with you last, Josh, or did I start last with you, Austin?
It was me.
Okay. So then, Austin, what went wrong on offense?
So I think the offensive line went wrong. Braden Smith didn't play like his normal self. Pryor didn't show up like he was supposed to. I think that was a big part. I don't think Braden Smith will come Sunday and do the same thing. I think he'll come ready or more ready. For the left tackle spot, I don't know. I don't know if Matt Pryor is still going to be there or Raymond's going to be there, but I just hope that they're ready.
Yeah, Yeah. What about you, Josh? Because I have my notions, but I want you to speak on it.
I mean, offensive line was an issue. You can say you can credit to saying, hey, it's the first time this particular line combo was together, and they look rattled with the. I mean, I guess you can give the Texans defense credit. Give them credit for applying the pressure that they did. Jerry Hughes was big. I mean, the other guys were big on the line. And they got to Matt Ryan and they got to stopping the run, causing havoc. I got to give those guys credit, but offense just came out flat. You know, it just looked inconsistent. Looked like a new team. You know, and we're not. Matt Ryan, like I said, Matt Ryan with the fumbles, the pick that should have been not thrown. And the run game could get going. It got going maybe the second and third quarter, and second quarter and then the second half. But we can't still. We couldn't. If you're trying to win a game, your first season opener in 8 seasons, you can't come out flat like that. You have to do something. And so next week is a big test because we haven't won there in 8 years. So I mean, we have to do something. Create I ain't gonna say create offense. We said in our personal chat in the messages that what is Reich doing? Is he not utilizing his whole playbook? Is he just trying to only use this half because he don't have confidence in the other guys? Because that's a confidence issue because he's not using all his plays to make the team successful.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say is Frank Reich has been given way too much of a pass. He hasn't called games the way somebody who's as aggressive as he is when it comes down to fourth downs early in the game to set the tone does when you have games that are on the line. Like for some reason, it's just like it's this philosophy that we got to be aggressive to set the tone early. We got to be aggressive, and then you don't convert, and you leave points on the field. And then next thing you know, in a lot of those games, because mind you, the majority of our games last year that were losses were games that we lost by, I'm going to say, maybe 9 points or less. Now, in a lot of those games, when you're being aggressive and you're going for it and you miss, you can make up those points by making sure that you're just going and you're just taking those field goals. Now, mind you, if you weren't necessarily comfortable with Blankenship kicking, then I get that. But the thing is, it's like the 4th and 1 or the 4th down wildcat in the red zone.
Yeah.
That's a chip shot. You end up getting those 3 points. The score ends up being 23-20, which means that we don't even go into overtime.
Right.
So you don't have anything else that you need to worry about because at that point you already know that this game is going to be put away. But the thing that irritates me the most is that we say that, okay, well, we have to execute. This has to happen. This is what's going on, blah, 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 this, that, and the other. But it really just comes down to take the damn points, run the ball, control clock. You have a runner who left off last year as the best runner in the league, and now to start off the year, he's second in rushing yards. Why is there any debate as to what needs to be done to make sure that we're going and that we're controlling the pace of these games? Because no matter whether you're aggressive or not, we ain't controlling nothing.
Correct.
We had to get angry and mount a comeback in order to make sure that we didn't lose once again in week 1.
And like we said in the overtime, we get our way down to the 30-yard line, and he runs a option play with Matt Ryan. Like, what the hell are you doing? I don't even know what and we lost yardage. I mean, so we had positive yardage, but you lost. I mean, we could have positive yardage, but we went back yardage to kick that field goal. So that's a lot of head scratching right there because it's like Why would you do that? I mean, we might well just switch the head coach with Denver. I mean, same thing.
Well, I mean, no, because I mean that. Listen, don't put Reich in the same thing with Hackett because Hackett said we're not gonna go to the guy that we literally just paid. We're gonna go and give this ball so that he can kick the longest field goal or the second longest field goal in NFL history in a game where you didn't have to. Like, what are you doing? Like, what's happening right now? No, that was dumb. Don't listen. I give Reich hell because I mean at this point it's just like he's calling, and the thing is he's calling the offense.
Correct.
This isn't up to the OC. This isn't up to Marcus. This is up to Frank. This is Frank's doing. Frank is calling these plays, and he's called. So the thing is, like, when you're calling these plays and you're calling this stuff the way that you have to live and die by this. Like, this has to be yours. You're owning this. Right. You have Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan is a consummate professional. He knows what he's doing in those situations. He's seen those things.
Right.
This isn't like Carson Wentz where you basically had to walk him through a lot of that because he didn't really know how to read those things, or if he saw the slightest amount of pressure, he would say, you know what, nope, checking out of this play. Like, no, that's not what needs to happen. So, you know, no, absolutely not. But you know what? We're going to switch to the other side of the ball after we go ahead, and this comment section is booming. So, yeah, we're going to get to all of it. So he said, we ran 82 plays of offense. What they expected us to do, run it 50 times, 31 carries is enough to me. Me too, because I give Titans.
I'm okay with it.
The thing is, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it when it's not the way that Titans fans get it. Titans fans will get 38 rushes for like 110 yards and say Derrick Henry was balling. And it's just like you do realize that's less than 3 yards a carry.
They don't care about that. They just look at the rushing yards.
Of course, they don't care about efficiency. Most of them can't even spell efficiency. Like, let's just get that out the way now. And then they said, and then somebody said, we're talking about the 2022 Texans. We're in rebuild. Had it been maybe a middle of the pack team, this would have been a good comeback.
Comeback's a comeback.
And that's dumb too, because you're saying that, oh, well, we're in a rebuild because it didn't end up in a win for you. Had it not been a tie, had it been a loss for us, they would have said, oh no, we beat y'all. Texans on the way up. Whatever the Texans motto is, smoke coming out of our nose or whatever the hell it is. I don't know. But like, come on. No, you don't get to do not only that, but the thing is, division opponents play each other differently. I don't care if it's a rebuild or not. Division opponents will give you hell. The Texans weren't by any means competitors or being, anything other than potentially looking at like a top 5 pick. And they beat the Titans last season. Hell, Jacksonville beat us in the last game for this past year. Like, no, I don't want to hear that. We're in a rebuild.
That's what we got the same thing last year. Texan fans were doing a lot of talking, a lot of chirping, and once they lost, they went back to the rebuild thing. And this year they were saying how Lovett Smith and whoever the guy name is from the Patriots, that GM, how they built the team,
Caserio,
how he built the team, and etc. Saying that it won't be the same. It won't be the same team of years past. But now they're saying that it's 22 Texans and rebuild.
No, I don't want to hear that. That's trash.
Because you don't go get Jerry Hughes in the rebuild.
Yeah, because the thing is, you don't bring somebody in with the intent to just rebuild. I mean, you're competing, because the thing at the end of the day, it's just like everything is money generated. And if you're sitting there saying the Texans didn't come out and say we're rebuilding, so we're going to be bad this year, but next year we're going to be fantastic, because that's not going to put butts in seats. That's not going to sell merch. There's a reason why, and I don't want to. I hate to bring this up, but there's a reason why Deshaun Watson, first game back from suspension, is going to be in Houston.
And they don't like it. That's why they're mad.
That game is going to be sold. You can hear the boos from Dallas during that game. I can guarantee it. They're going to
Yes.
boo that man into. They're going to boo that man into the shadow zone.
That's why the Texan fans are mad, saying that that's bullshit. He should be suspended for a full year because they didn't want him to come back against that game, knowing that he's going to torture him.
Yeah, and the Browns won, so they probably don't want to deal with that either. So either way, but moving on to more comments. All right, and couldn't finish drives early. Too much carelessness with the ball.
I agree.
Lovie Smith had a good game plan for their rush, and I think that's one thing that's being overlooked. Lovie Smith is actually, to me, a really good coach defensively. So I mean, if there's anybody who's going to be doing like this is the same guy who went to the Super Bowl with Kyle Orton. So I mean,
And Grossman.
that defense was good enough, and I mean, this is his last season. I'm going to say his last season with the Bears, he was 10-6. So,
and he got fired.
Yeah. So I mean, you could take that with a grain of salt, but moving on, and then we have Milton Ward. What's up, Milton? I still feel like we need a vet at wide receiver. Maybe we do. I'm going to say maybe we do need to get somebody in. I'm going to say, but the thing is, it's just like you get a vet in there, good, but at the same time, I think that's what Reggie's there for. I mean, Reggie Wayne was able to go and coach those guys up. I'm going to say it's just like even with Pittman, playing, getting that one play, it's just like that was to me, it's just like that was a Reggie-esque type of like catch and run for him to be able to get that ball, pivot, and then just like stretch out for the end zone. Reggie did that.
He did against the Packers.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna go and rule out anything, but at the same time, it's just like if you're gonna get a veteran wide receiver, it's because of the fact that you see that it's just not working with what we have. But I mean, Matt Ryan had the second most passing yards for the whole entire NFL this past weekend. The only person to have more than him, Pat Mahomes.
Yes.
And Pat Mahomes had 360 passing yards. So Pat Mahomes had 8 more passing yards than Matt Ryan, who people said was washed. People said he was
with the noodle arm.
With a noodle arm. He was washed. He had a noodle arm, everything under the sun. And yet Matt Ryan is currently second in passing yards for the entire league. So
with supposedly less talent.
Yes, which I don't get, but it's whatever. And then on top of that, let's also go ahead and highlight the fact that those 352 passing yards, that wasn't between 3 receivers and a tight end. That was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He had 352 passing yards between 8 receivers that weren't receivers. He had 2 tight ends, Jonathan Taylor, Nyheim Hines, 4 receivers, 2 tight ends, 2 running backs. So they're spreading the ball around.
Yes.
So let's not be too hasty, because if you can spread the ball around that much and you know that you're getting pressure and the O-line isn't playing where they're supposed to, I don't think there's really like a big necessity for you to get a veteran wide receiver unless you're just absolutely trying to throw for 500 yards a game.
It also shows that we had essentially the same receivers last year, and Carson Wentz couldn't get it done. That's why they didn't play Marcus Ron. They played him first game this season, and look what he did.
Yeah. But moving on, only because, like I said, this is I normally, I didn't even say it this time, but you know what? I wasn't expecting that because we just had a game. So, with that being said, on a scale of 1 to 10, Gus Bradley's defense, how are we feeling?
I'm going to go with a 7.
7? Okay.
It would be better if we played Isaiah Rodgers. But also, we didn't get to the quarterback as much at the beginning of the game, and I hope that we see more blitz packages in upcoming games.
Yeah. How about you, Josh?
I mean, I get between the 7, 8. I'm happy with it. We did get with 3 sacks. EJ got 1 and Pay got 2. But like Austin said, we need more blitz packages because we allowed Davis Mill to have a field day at one point. And we allowed a flea flicker. I mean, that's bad. That's bad. So, I mean, like Gilly said, we got to clean those things up, because they know how to play. These are professionals. Kenny Moore didn't have a good game. Gilly probably was the only bright spot for us, DBs. I don't know what's his name doing. Fiason. I don't know what he was doing, but I don't know what he was doing, but yeah, and Nick Cross did his thing, being a rookie. Blackman did his thing. Those are plays that we probably won't acknowledge because he didn't come with a sack. But you saw Yannick chasing down Davis Mills. He just didn't get the sack. He was back there. He just didn't get the sack. Defoe recovered a fumble. He was there. He was in the backfield. But I mean, sometimes I know people don't. They say, well, we had a bad game because we didn't get a sack. But they created some pressure, just that they didn't get to the quarterback. Maybe you can contribute him getting rid of the ball pretty quick. But there was some pressure where Davis Mills was having to get rid of the ball and overthrow his targets.
Yeah. We saw Kwity Paye get to him twice, like late in the game.
Back-to-back drive, in the same drive. I mean.
Yeah, and we saw the pressure get there. We saw like how they were able to just kind of like keep on chipping away till it got to the point where they got to him. So for me, I think that was a big thing. And then somebody made a comment, which I think I even overlooked up until now, but they say the defense is a 7.5. To me, pass rush needs to be better, but Leonard will help us out a lot. They were able to get that type of pressure, and the defense actually played pretty well without Darius Leonard actually being in the starting lineup.
Stop the run. A lot of we stopped Pierce. We stopped Burkhead. I know people say he's older guy, whatever. We stopped the run.
Yeah. And I mean, like I said, to be missing, the best linebacker in the game, because I'm gonna say that he's better than Fred Warner. He's better than these guys that you have coming in. Like he's the best linebacker in this current NFL right now.
Mm-hmm.
For him to be where he is right now, where he's not in the game, but the defense to be good, I know for a fact that when he comes back, it's going to make the defense that much better because you're going to have somebody who can not only rush the QB, but they'll also be able to go ahead and drop back in coverage and do everything that that they're able to do. I think the biggest thing was just like maybe defensively they kind of overcompensated for not having Darius Leonard. I want to say that's why maybe you didn't see as much as Rodgers. However, they need to have Rodgers in there because he's absolutely proven time and time again that he can absolutely go out there in coverage and do what he needs to do. And I mean, I feel like if the defense plays differently, Darius Leonard is there, OJ Howard doesn't score at all.
Yeah, that's their bright spot because Cooks had 82 yards, but Nico Collins didn't get going. Chris Conley didn't get going. Cooks was their bright spot. He had 82 yards, but yeah.
Yeah, he had 82 yards. Like I said, and even like Davis, like he was able to spread the ball around, but like the numbers, it's like after Brandon Cooks, after Brandon Cooks, nobody had over 50 yards. And OJ Howard, he had the 2 touchdowns that he had were 2 receptions literally for 38 yards. So
Cook's yards came from a flea flicker.
Yeah. Yes. 1 for 6. So yeah. I mean that's absurd. And it's just like then he said Leonard would have done better against OJ Howard. Absolutely. Leonard would have done a lot better because the thing is Leonard actually drops into coverage and he does that. But the thing is you have somebody like Bobby O who has to go and has to cover, where sometimes you see Leonard kind of go into coverage against those tight ends, and then Bobby will go ahead and just cover underneath, or vice versa. But now it's just like you don't have a guy who will be able to go ahead and call out those certain plays. So, I mean, like I said, you saw what they were able to do. And if Darius Leonard is, or if Shaq Leonard is back this week, then I think we're going to see a completely different look defensively, where we might even see Isaiah Rodgers out there. Hopefully, see Isaiah Rodgers out there because, I mean, he's, like I said, he's proven he can do this. He's proven what he can do regardless. Like, put somebody like him out there, and I guarantee you that he's going to be just fine.
You think that not having Darius is what they didn't play Isaiah? Or could it be Gus playing this guy? And Brandon, he played this guy, the guy he trusts. I'm not saying he don't trust Isaiah, but Brandon knows defense.
I'm saying the way that they did Isaiah was probably a direct result of not having Leonard there, because I mean, you're not going to put just anybody out there when you know for a fact that you have to cover receivers as well as tight ends. And I mean, we know that the Texans also have issues in terms of blocking. So, of course, putting an extra tight end in there is going to be different. However, Leonard can hear those calls. Leonard can identify those things on offense that would make a quarterback kind of have to say, oh, you know what, I maybe need to go ahead and audible out of this one, as opposed to where you see Howard, you don't have to audible out of anything because who's calling those? The D-line isn't going to call anything. The linebacker is normally responsible for making sure that they're calling out the plays or calling out exactly what they're looking at. And, the things that you get from Leonard, you're not necessarily going to get from Speed. Speed is a great rusher. Speed is a great disruptor. But in terms of coverage, he's not the best when it comes to coverage. And also, he's not the best at identifying that because he hasn't had a lot of that real game experience just being on defense specifically.
Yeah,
like Leonard moves into spots specifically because of the fact that he's able to identify what the offense is doing and he's able to identify calls. Mind you, Leonard is the most experienced linebacker that we have in that linebacking core. And he's also a defensive captain. And he's not that for no reason. He is that because of the fact that he has that knowledge. He has that quick-wittedness where he's able to see, oh, this is what he's doing. I mean, he's covered guys like O.J. Howard before. We don't have those issues. So
I only asked that because we said with the defense. The defense held up outside of Brandon Cooks without Isaiah.
I mean, I think they even held up against Brandon Cooks because, I mean, Brandon Cooks is a perennial year in, year out 1,000-yard receiver. And you hold him to 82 yards on the day where, I mean, even with it being just such a regular zone look, they still were able to cover and do what they needed to do. And they gave him a few because they gave him a few with that terrible call that they had with PI on Kenny Moore.
Yes, that was terrible.
Like, it was like they called stupid plays on stuff that it's just like that just wasn't – it shouldn't have happened. But, I mean, that's just what we were faced up against. But, we have a tie in the books. We are moving on to Jacksonville. In Jacksonville this week.
Yes.
What are going to be the keys to victory in this game? Because this game bugs the hell out of me every single year. Like, how do we make sure that we finally break this streak where we can't win in the meth capital of the world?
The keys to victory is simple thing. Score more points than them. All the extra going for it on fourth down, run this wildcat, being calling of vanilla plays, being inconsistent on play calling, and drop passes. It's not it. It can't be it. I mean, this team know we can't beat them there, or know we struggle beating them there, and they know that it's a psychological thing in our minds, their minds, the players' minds, and so they know that, and they feed off of it. The guys had clowns. The fans had clown faces, and it still didn't affect them from winning the game. They went out there actually dominated with it on. So we're going up there again with them knowing that, hey, all the fans, I mean, we see it in the group. The fans know that, hey, this is an annual dub. You think the players think the same thing? They're thinking the same thing. They struggled with the Commanders, and they they're gonna be Incredible Hawks or Super Saiyans against us week 2. So I don't know why. But we got to go out there and score those points. We can't do what we did against Houston with another division opponent. We have to go out and score more points. Try to score on every play.
Mm-hmm.
If Shaquilla's back, he can help with getting those forced fumbles, punching the ball out, stopping the run even more, making those defensive plays, stopping Dan Harrell and whatever his name is, and Ingram. Yeah, Dan Arnold and Evan Ingram. And the DBs have to cover their guys. We saw Laviscus, who'd been traded, cook us last year. Marvin Jones cooked us last year. So we see those guys. Now they got a guy that's overpaid on their team. So we got to cover everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely. It's. So, what about you, Austin? Like, how are you feeling about like this week? Because I know like this is a big game.
It is a big game. It's always a big game. It's a division game. And like y'all said, we struggled there. We haven't won in years. I think the key to victory, though, is you just got to make the layups.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's all you got to do. We're on paper a better team than them. We should beat them. We just got to make the layups.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And kind of going back to what we just spoke about in regards to Frank Reich and his play calling. Frank Reich has to call a better game. Like he has to call a better game. Like we've seen that. We've absolutely seen that. We don't have to go and try to get cute or get cheeky when it comes to these calls or. It's just like going forward on 4th down. Like, if you're on the opponent's 5-yard line and it's 4th and 5, take the damn points. Like, I feel much more comfortable getting down on consecutive drives and, being able to go ahead and score a field goal because let's just say red zone defense is there for Jacksonville. I feel much more comfortable with that than trying to set the tone and be aggressive and missing an opportunity to get points in a game where we can easily go and lose by 3 because we didn't go and get those 3 points going. Like it's not going to make sense to me.
You be aggressive when you're having a lead. We have 14-0. Be aggressive then. Don't be aggressive when you're down, you're up 3-0. That's not being aggressive. Now you're just being cocky. You're trying to out coach the other coach. When just take the layups. Most people said that Carson was the scapegoat last year, and now some say there's Rigo, but we got to look at our coach. We got to look at our coach. I mean, either he call a great game or give it to Marcus Brady. That's all I say. I've been saying.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say we must. And somebody says we must play mistake-free football in Jacksonville. No turnovers, no bad penalties, and yes, Frank, no stupid 4th down call. We do this, we win. Absolutely. Going like, I think if you're in a situation where you've seen things repeatedly that make you believe that this is going to be open, and you have that cushion, you may be up by 3. And then let's just say you go for it on a play where it's like 4th and 2. As long as you're not calling a dumbass wildcat play, sure, why not? But the thing is, it's just like a lot of those times, like being aggressive, it's just like that's not everybody's bag. And that's not Frank's bag because it's just like too many times you try to set the tone, you set the wrong tone, and then he's sitting there looking with the with the I eat butt face talking about, oh, well, I don't know why that didn't work out. I have to do better. Like, no, you need to, you've known that you got to do better for a long time. At this point, it's just like, it's old. And, he has to coach like his job depends on it. He doesn't have to coach like if he doesn't convert this 4th down, then the world is in Armageddon. Like it's time to just go ahead and just nut up or shut up. Like he has to really just be better at what he's doing because as a head coach, if you're calling plays and you're not calling the right game, you end up looking like Nathaniel Hackett if you screw up.
And in this case, it's gonna look like Chopagano.
Yeah.
It's frustrating. And I know I've been critical, very critical, for the last couple seasons of him. And I try to give him pass, and say, hey, it can be fixed. Try to ride with our coach. But you can't. You can only do so much. You only do so much when you see, like you said, and play like Sunday and play his last couple of years. Even when we had Andrew Luck when we lost 6-0. Like, come on, gets a backup quarterback for Jacksonville, and it's just shaking your head every year. It seemed like when we get there, he get out coached by whoever the coach over there. I mean, now it's Doug Peterson, but we got to go out there. I mean,
yeah, there was a certain amount of familiarity there too, because it's just like he coached under Doug Peterson for a long time, so it's just like they kind of know each other. They know exactly which way teams want to go with these guys. So I think it's safe to say that like I said, it's just like, is this going to be an easy game? No, because I think it's always hard coaching against somebody that you're familiar with, but there can't be a single excuse this game, because you're in a situation where we've lost in Jacksonville time and time again, and I'm pretty sure that Irsay doesn't want to hear jack squat when it comes to any reason why we would lose to Jacksonville in Jacksonville again. Like, that loss last year was embarrassing.
I guarantee you that he's been on the phone with these guys this week saying, hey, last time we was here, I gave y'all this talk on the plane. Or when he got back to Indy, I'm sure he's already saying before we fly out,
yep,
y'all better go, y'all better do y'all damn job.
Yep, they know. They're fully aware.
And that's probably why they cut Rodrigo. Right. That's probably why they cut him. Get this out the way with now, so it won't be an issue in case we need him Sunday. I doubt it, but they probably getting rid of those loose ends now and try to go out there and play a perfect game, because it's gonna have to be.
Yeah. So then, Austin, what do we think is going to be the most important key to victory, and what do you predict the score being this week?
The key to victory, just move the ball on offense. If we can move the ball, we're going to score points, and we'll win the game. I think we will win 27-17.
Okay. All right. And then, Josh, what is going to be the biggest key to victory and the score you predict?
Like you said, we got to run our offense. We got a guy that's been in the league for 15 seasons and want to win. He said he come to Indy to win a Super Bowl. Yeah. And we got the guys on defense that won a Super Bowl and know how to play. And so they got to make stops. They got to cover the guys in front of them and make those and create turnovers. But I don't know. I mean, it's like 100 house down there, man, in Jacksonville. So I don't know what to predict. 18, 10, or 21, 18. It's I don't know, man. I don't know, man.
I think it's going to be rough to kind of predict that, but I do feel like they'll turn it around. I think we'll probably end up getting out of there maybe 24-10. I'm going to say we probably are going to be looking at the first points we score are probably going to be a field goal, since they were like what was our undoing last week. So yeah, so I think that's where we're going to be. But listen, we're praying that we don't have to deal with these clowns, for lack of a better word. Not really. That we don't have to deal with these clowns next week. And they
got better on defense too.
A little bit better. But you know what? Austin's getting married this weekend. So as far as I'm concerned, that's going to be a good luck charm. We're going to break this cycle on the weekend Austin gets married. And if we don't, it'll be because Austin got married. All right. Well, let's just get that out the way right now. Okay? All right. So then with that being said, people, that is it for this evening. Do want to let you know, as we stated last week, we have now partnered with Manscaped. So what you do is you make sure that you go on to manscaped.com. You'll see what they have. You see what you like. They have all grooming supplies, everything. And I know it says Manscaped, but I know some ladies might like to use it because I know that ladies be dabbling in their man's grooming utensils because it smells good and they think it's gentler for some reason. I don't know. But you go on there, you go online, anything that you buy, you make sure that you use promo code FANBATTLE, all one word, and you'll be getting 20% off your order plus free shipping. All right? So you make sure that you go on to manscaped.com, you make sure that you use that FANBATTLE code and you use 20% off. Even if you're a current Manscaped customer, use that FANBATTLE code. All right? And so with that being said, guys, we are out of here. Let the people know where to find you on social media.
You can find me on Twitter at CookieAustin2.
All right, fantastic. See, growth. Look at that growth.
Yes.
And Josh, where can the people find you on social media?
You can find me at I'm glad that Cut Rodrigo blankenship.com.
That's pretty much not it.
No, I am Josh Senior on Twitter.
Right. And you can find me at CJ Colts Fan. Also, make sure that you are following the podcast pages at YDKJAC Podcast, at YDK Basketball, at YDKJAC Baseball. Make sure that you're following all the pages. So that's why you look for news, tweets, interact. Also, this way you can also make sure that you are in the know in case we have any giveaways, anything going on. You'll be the first to know. But other than that, people, listen, have a great rest of your week. We're glad football's back, and we will see you next week.